Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be building our very own blockchain application on Coinbase's base chain network. We'll be deploying ourselves a few contracts using ThirdWeb, and we'll be building our very own front-end application using ThirdWeb's SDK. So a quick overview of what we're going to be going over in this video. We're going to first deploy our very own smart contracts. This is going to include a ERC20 token, an ERC721 NFT, and also an ERC1155 NFT. We'll then create our very own front-end application that implements these three contracts in a way that they all work with each other. So you'll be able to claim an ERC20 token, use that token to claim an ERC1155, which will kind of act like a mint pass. Then we'll create it so that you need to own one of the ERC1155 NFTs in order to claim the ERC721 NFT. By the end of this video, you should have a good understanding of how to deploy your very own smart contracts to the base blockchain, as well as how to build your very own blockchain applications on the base blockchain as well. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into it and let's get started. So right here on my computer, I'm actually on ThirdWeb's website already, and I have already connected my wallet. So once you connect your wallet to ThirdWeb's dashboard, you'll be brought to a page similar to this that you see here. What we can do is we'll browse contracts, and what we're going to do is deploy our contracts that we need for this project. So we're going to deploy one of each of the popular smart contract standards, so an ERC20, ERC1155, and an ERC721. We're first going to do a ERC20, which is a token, like a cryptocurrency or something. So this is if you want to deploy your very own cryptocurrency onto the base blockchain. I'm going to scroll down here up to drops, and I'm actually going to do a token drop. And you can see here, this token drop is for contract for ERC20 tokens, and we can actually sell these tokens at a set price if we choose to do so. So I'm going to hit deploy now. Up here, I'm just going to write, give it a name of base, we'll call it base block chain token. We'll just call this B token here, and you can add an image, description, and everything if you choose to do so. Down here in network and chain, we're going to hit that drop down. You can search for base in here. You can do base's main network if you choose to do so. Right now we're going to use the base testnet, which is the base Gurley testnet. And we're going to select deploy now. You'll get a transaction here that we have to confirm in order to deploy our contract, and a second transaction here that we need to sign in order to add it to our dashboard. And once it has been deployed, it'll bring us to our contract dashboard. You can follow the contract checklist and everything here, but what we do need to set up for this token drop is a claim condition. So you can either click this blue link right down here, or in the left-hand navigation, you can come to claim condition. Now, a token drop is different from a regular token contract. We're treating this as a claimable token. So we can add a phase here, and we'll just make it public. This just means that anyone can claim this token. We can set parameters here, like the name of this phase, when it will start, how many tokens will actually be in this phase. So we can actually say in this phase, there will only be 100,000 tokens. We can put in a cost if we choose to do so. You can use the native currency, or you can use a custom ERC20. We're just going to make this a native currency here. We're not going to charge anything. We're going to make it completely free to claim, just so we don't need to spend anything when claiming these tokens in this tutorial. And we can say how many tokens can be claimed per wallet. So in here, we'll just say a wallet can claim 100 tokens max. And once you've put everything in here on how you want to set up your conditions for your claiming, you can just hit save phase. You'll be brought up with a transaction that we need to confirm. And once that goes through, you can see you have successfully saved a claim phase, and you should see your currently active claim phase right over here. Now, this actually does it for our ERC20 contract, and it's that simple to deploy a ERC20 contract using ThirdWeb, and you can deploy this again on any EVM compatible blockchain, but we're building on Base right now. One last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the contract address and save it on the side here, because we will need this later on within our application when we start to build it. So the next thing we're going to do is come back up here to contracts. I'm just going to open up a new tab here. And we're going to browse contracts again. This time we're going to look for our ERC 1155 contract. We're going to do an addition drop. So you might see it up here in the popular section. If you don't see it in the popular section, you can just scroll down to drops again and then look for the addition drop. You can see here it's for ERC 1155 tokens, and then we can make them claimable for a set price. So we're going to select that and we're going to hit deploy now. We're going to call this, we'll call this the base mint pass, and then we'll just call this a base pass here. You can add your image. So we actually have an image for this that we're going to use. And you can add a description if you want to as well. You can also set up your royalties and primary sales. And again, at the very bottom, we're going to select network and chain and make sure we're deploying on the basic or early testnet. We'll confirm the transaction to deploy the contract. We'll sign the second transaction to add it to our dashboard. And once that has been successfully deployed, we now have our ERC 1155 contract ready for us. Now here, we're going to come to the left-hand navigation again. We're going to go to NFTs, and we're going to create our Mint Pass NFT. So we're only going to create one NFT here. So I'm just going to do a single upload. We'll call this the base Mint Pass, and we'll get our image again. So this is for our NFT. We're going to lazy mint it right here to our smart contract. You can add a description. You can add property and traits down here as well. We're just going to add a name and a media file here. And we're going to lazy mint this to our smart contract here. So our lazy mint will prepare this NFT in our smart contract here. We'll just confirm this transaction. After this, we'll have to set up a claim condition, and we're going to set it up so that in order to claim this NFT, you have to spend our ERC20 token that we just created. So right there, we have our NFT. You can see here we have our base mint pass. Now you're not going to see claim conditions here on the left-hand side for an ERC 1155 token. And that's because every token within this contract, or for an ERC 1155 contract, will have its own claim condition set for it. So you can't set the claim condition for the whole ERC 1155 contract. You're going to set it for each NFT within it. So when you click on the NFT, you're going to be brought to the NFT's details here. And you can see here, we don't have a total supply or anything. The token ID of this NFT is 0. And here we can set claim conditions. So we go to the claim condition tab, and similar to like how we set up our claim conditions for our ERC20 token, we're going to do the same thing here for our ERC 1155. So we're going to hit add phase. We're going to make it public. Anyone can claim this. We're going to make it unlimited for this drop. So as long as you have the tokens from our previous ERC20 contract to claim it, you'll be able to claim these. So we're just going to say 1 per wallet because you should only be able to claim 1 mint pass. In here, and how much do we want to charge for each NFT? We're going to hit this drop down and we're going to go to a custom ERC20. We're going to grab the ERC20 contract address that we just deployed, and we're going to paste it in there and hit save. Then we're going to say, we'll say 10 tokens is how much we want to charge in order for someone to claim this mint pass here. So once that is set, we can hit save phase here. We'll confirm that transaction. And there you go. We now have that set. So you can now claim these base mint passes for the cost of 10 base tokens, which was the ERC20 token that we created right before this. So that does it for our ERC 1155 contract. I'm going to take that contract address as well because we're going to need that for our application. So I'm just going to save it on the side here. And then we're finally going to deploy our ERC 721. So I'm going to open up a new tab here. And in our tab, we're going to hit browse contracts again. Now we are going to do an ERC 721 as the final NFT that you can claim. Now the only thing is, we want to make it so that this ERC 721 is only claimable if you hold a mint pass. So we do have a few ERC 721 contracts here. Let me just go into NFTs here. So we do have a few from things like NFT drop, which is a regular ERC 721, a claimable drop. We did an addition drop. What we're going to be using for this ERC 721 is actually a signature drop contract. And what this allows us to do is do signature-based minting, which means we can write our own conditions and everything and require certain things. And what we'll do is then generate a signature to claim that NFT if someone meets all the requirements and conditions that we set. So we're going to do a signature drop contract right over here. And if you want to check out a little bit more about our signature drop contracts, we're going to do something very similar to what we did in a previous tutorial. And we'll drop that link down in the description as well. We're going to be doing something very similar. But if you want to watch a video just on signature drops, you can check out that video down below. But right here, we're on a signature drop contract. This is going to help us deploy an ERC 721A standard smart contract, but it'll allow signature-based minting. So what we're going to do here is hit deploy now. We're going to call this one base reward NFT, or just call it base reward. And then we'll just call it B reward. And we have our image here. I just have like an image of like an astronaut here. So we're just going to put that in. You can add description, again, royalties, primary sales. And for the networking chain, we're just going to make sure we deploy to the basic or early testnet again. We'll confirm that transaction right over here, and then we'll sign this to add it to our dashboard. And once it has been successfully deployed, again, we'll be brought to our contract dashboard here. Now, this checklist is a bit longer. We do need to set our NFTs first and then our claim condition. So we're going to go to NFTs. And in our NFTs tab, we're going to upload the NFTs for this contract. Now you can batch upload here, and batch upload, you can just download one of the example CSV or JSON files, and you can put in all the metadata that you need for all the NFTs, especially if you're looking to upload, 5,000, 10,000, and many more NFTs. You don't want to individually do them, so you can batch upload them and follow the templates of the CSV or JSON file. For this example, and to make everything a little bit more quicker, we're just going to do a single upload here. And we're just going to write like reward and drop our image and lazy mint this here. And this is just so we have NFTs within our contract that we can claim. We're going to confirm that transaction here. And with this, we're going to lazy mint one NFT to our contract that will be claimable when we build our application. So once this one deploys, I'm going to go through the same process just a couple more times, just so we have a handful of NFTs that we can claim when building out our app. And once I'm done doing that, I will be back. I will be right back. All right, so I went and lazy minted 3 of these NFTs to our smart contract here. You can see the owners of them are just no addresses here. So no one owns these NFTs yet, but we are gonna make it. So again, you need a mint pass in order to claim these NFTs here. Now I'm gonna head over to claim conditions, and I'm gonna add a claim condition here. This claim condition, I'm gonna make it only owner. And that's because what we're going to do with this signature-based minting is if someone meets all the criteria or the conditions that we set, which is holding a base mint pass, only then will we generate a signature with our owner's wallet, and we'll allow the claiming wallet to use that signature in order to claim an NFT. So really the only person that can claim an NFT from this collection is the owner, but we'll just be generating the signature from the owner wallet and lending it out to other wallets to use as long as they meet the conditions of holding a base mint pass. So we're going to set the claim condition to owner, only owner. We'll confirm that transaction. And there we are. We have successfully saved our claim phase. Last thing I'm going to do is take that contract address here. Just save it on the side right over there. So when we build our application, we have that. And just like that, we've now deployed 3 smart contracts onto the Base blockchain. We deployed our very own ERC20 token that we're going to be able to use to mint our very own ERC 1155 mint pass. And we also deployed an ERC 721, which was a signature-based mint, which is a signature drop contract, which is an ERC 721A contract. But we're going to make it so that only people who own a base mint pass can actually claim that NFT. And we deployed all of this through ThirdWeb using their pre-built contracts. And we also have these dashboards, these contract dashboards that we can use to easily manage and maintain all the contracts that we just deployed. But what we're going to do next is actually build a front-end application here using ThirdWeb's SDK, and we'll walk through the process of making out an app that allows you to collect the tokens, claim a pass, and then claim our base reward NFT right over here. Now let's start building our application. I have my terminal opened here, and I'm going to run npx thirdweb at latest create app. And this is going to allow us to create an application here with ThirdWeb CLI. We're going to name our project. We'll call this a base blockchain app. We're going to use EVM because the base network is an EVM blockchain. And for this project, we're going to use Next and TypeScript. Once that is done, we'll change directory into our project here. So base blockchain app, and open this up in our code editor. Once we have that opened up in our code editor, we just have to edit a few things to get our application set. So in the pages folder, we're first going to head over to the _app.tsx file. And in here, we're going to set a couple things. You can see here, this is our ThirdWeb provider, which is the main component here that sets up the ThirdWeb SDK for our application. And we need our client ID and our active chain. Now, our active chain is stored in a variable up here and is set to Ethereum right now. We need to change this to the base Gurley testnet. So in this one, it's going to be base Gurley, and we're going to set that as our active chain. Under that, under ThirdWeb provider, we also need our client ID. Right now, this is being stored in an environment variable under the next public template client ID here. So in our files, we can head down to this env.example here, and you can see that we have this environment variable for our client ID. Now, your client ID you can get through generating an API key through ThirdWeb. You can follow. We're going to grab that right now, but if you want to watch a video or go through a guide a little bit more in depth about ThirdWeb API keys, we'll drop that down in the link in the description. But right now, we're just going to head over and grab one of our API keys here. So in my ThirdWeb dashboard under settings, I have a few API keys here. You can just generate one, but we're going to take one right over here, copy it, head back to our environment variable and paste that in. We'll close our environment variable out there, and with that, we now have our application set. We can actually just open our terminal here and run yarn dev, and we can take a look at our application. And there you go. We have our boilerplate code here from the ThirdWeb. We're going to be removing this stuff here and building out our own application. So we're going to head back to our code editor here really quick. Just going to drop down this terminal. And we're going to set up a few more folders here. Actually, one more. We're going to, in our file directory here, create a new folder. We're just going to name this constants here. And in that constants folder, we're going to create a file called addresses.ts. And this addresses.ts, we're just going to store some contract variables that have our contract addresses in them. This in here. So we're going to store our token contract, we'll just call this our pass contract, and then our reward contract. So our token contract is our ERC20 contract. So I'm just going to paste in that contract address there. Our pass contract is our ERC1155 contract that we deployed. And then our reward contract is our ERC721 contract that we deployed. So I'm just saving all these contracts in here so that we can just use these variables here throughout our application. So we have everything pretty much set to start building out our application. In our file directory here, I'm going to head over to under the pages folder to the index.txs file. And this here is all the boilerplate code that we saw within our application. I'm going to get rid of everything within this container div here. I'm going to keep the main and container div. I'm just going to get rid of everything else inside and get rid of that image there. And what I'm going to do in our application to get us started is, again, we're going to go through this flow of allowing someone to claim the ERC20 tokens first use those tokens to claim a pass, and then use the pass to claim the reward. And what we're going to do here first is to check where within those steps a user is. So what I'm going to do first is actually create a variable here called address, and I'm going to use the use address hook from ThirdWeb. This use address hook is going to get the wallet address of the connected user, and then we can use that wallet address and check things like token balance or balance of an NFT. So we can double check where the user is based on taking their address and checking on their balance of the tokens that they own. So the first balance we want to check is if they have claimed ERC 20 tokens. So I'm going to create a variable here. We're going to get our contract returned, and we're going to name our contract here. We'll name this the token contract, and this is going to use our use contract hook, and we'll import our use contract hook here. And our use contract hook takes the contract address. So in this case, the token contract address here that we had stored in our addresses file. And then we're also going to get our pass contract as well. So we'll do contract. We'll name this pass contract. And we'll do the same thing. We'll use our use contract hook here, but we're going to use the pass contract instead. So what this is going to allow us to do is get our instances of our contract, and we can start interacting with it. So we don't need to upload or put in our ABIs or anything. We just need to use the use contract hook and pass the contract address, and ThirdWeb's SDK does everything else for us. So the next thing we want to do is, now that we have those two contracts, is we want to check the balance of these two contracts based on the wallet that is connected. So we want to see, do they have tokens? Because if they have tokens, we're not going to prompt them to claim tokens. We'll then claim them to claim a pass. But if they already have a pass, we're not going to prompt them to do any of this, and we'll just prompt them to claim the reward. So we'll check the token balance first. So with this one, we're going to use another hook, and we're going to get data that is passed back to us. So we'll just name this token balance. We can also check the is loading state of it, and we'll just call that is loading token balance. And then we will use the use token balance hook here. And the use token balance hook, we need to give it the token contract that we're checking. So we'll take our token contract that we just created, and we're checking the balance of the address, so that wallet that is connected to our application. So with this use token balance hook right here, we give it the contract that is checking the token balance for, which in our case is the token contract that we got right up here, and we're checking the balance of the connected wallet. So again, just this one hook, and we're able to get that information. We can do the same thing for our pass. So we'll just call this a pass balance. We'll check the is loading state there. And then this one, we're not going to use token balance because we're not checking ERC20 token. We're going to use the used owned NFTs hook. And this one is going to check the pass contract, which is the other contract we got. And then again, checking how much of the owned NFT does the connected wallet have. Now that we have these balances, we can start to check these balances and choose what we need to prompt and display to our user. So within our app here, within this div, which has the container class, we're going to create another div here. This one, we're going to give a class name of, let's say, styles.card. And then I'm going to create another div in here, which is going to be kind of like the header of our card. We're going to name this one class name. We'll give this one styles.card title. And we're going to create our own style there for that. Within that title, we're just going to have the name of our application. So we're just going to give it a H1 header here, and we'll just call this a base app. And then next to that, we're going to add a connect wallet button, which is a UI component from ThirdWeb, and it actually gives us a connect wallet button. And all we need to do is just use this UI component here, and we now have the ability to connect any type of wallet to our application. So what I'm going to do is fix this really quick. I'm going to create this card title class for our style right here. So in our files here, I'm going to head over to styles and the home module.css here. And I'm just gonna put this right under the card styling here. We're gonna do card title, and we're gonna do display flex, and we're just gonna make this, it will align at item center, justify content space between, and we'll give it a little bit of margin on the bottom. So now when we come back to our application here, you can see we have this little card here, and we have our title, and we have this connect wallet button right over here. So if I wanted to, I could log out. You can see it has a connect wallet. We can click on that. We can select the wallet we want to connect, and it'll connect our wallet to our application. Let's actually center this in the middle of our app here and add some padding to the card. So actually come back to my home module.css here. Card here, we're gonna add some padding, and we'll just add a padding of 1 rem. Up here in the container, we're going to do a display flex here, and we're going to do a column. We'll center everything here, and then we'll give it a height of 100% of the view height. We'll come back to our application. We now have some padding on our card here, and it's now centered within our app. And I'm gonna add some spacing. Actually, I'll increase the width of our card here really quick. So we'll just give it a minimum width here of 50%. So there we go. Now it's a little bit more spaced out. We have our title and we have our connect wallet button. And we're just gonna comment out the hover and focus here so we don't get that changing of styles when we hover over it. So that should do it for our CSS right there. So now below this, now within the actual card that we have, we want to display whether someone should be claiming ERC20, ERC1155, or an ERC721 NFT. What we're going to do first is double check to make sure that we have an address connected or a wallet connected. So we'll check if we have an address. And if we don't, then we'll just display a little message. And if we do have an address or a wallet connected, that means we can start displaying, because then we can start checking the balances of everything. So if they don't have an address here, we'll just add some text saying, please connect your wallet. Now, if they do have their wallet connected, then we're going to start checking their balances. So the first thing we want to do is, should someone be able to claim an ERC20 token? So we're going to first check the token balance. So we're going to make sure token balance isn't loading. If the token balance is loading, we'll just put here some text saying loading. And once we have loaded the token balance, we're then going to check to see if we have our token balance. And we're going to check to make sure that the token balance is greater than 10. The reason we're checking if it's greater than 10 is because we made the ERC1155 require 10 tokens. So we want to make sure if we prompt them to collect the ERC1155 that they actually have enough tokens to actually claim it. So we're going to get the token balance dot value. Now that token balance dot value is going to give us back a big number. So we need to convert that big number into a number that we can actually compare and make sure that it is greater than 10. So to do that, we are going to, we'll just remove this here really quick. We're going to do ethers. So make sure we import that. utils.format unit. And what this is going to take is our token balance dot value, and we're going to set it to the 18 decimals there. Now, what we're also going to have to do with that value is we are going to turn this into an int. So we're going to do parse int here, and then we're going to check to make sure that this value is greater than or equal to 10. So we'll just add some blank tags here, and up here we have format. Oh, this should be units. So add some blank tags there, and that's gonna prompt them to claim the tokens in here if they haven't, if their balance is less than 10. We're gonna create a component here for them to claim their tokens. But if their balance is more than 10, we then have to check, do they actually have a mint pass or not? If they have a mint pass, they can then claim the reward. If they don't have a mint pass, we have to prompt them to claim a mint pass. So we're going to check similar to how we did the token balance. We'll just check if the pass balance is loading. And if it is loading, we're going to just display some text here that says checking pass, not balance, we'll just say checking pass. And in here, once we have loaded the pass balance, we're going to get make sure we have a pass balance, and what we're going to do is check that the pass balance is greater than or equal to 1. So we're going to do something that we did up top. We're going to parse int here because we need to change this to an int value, and we're going to get the pass balance here. And pass balance, so because we're checking the owned NFTs, we actually get back an object of the owned NFTs that we have. But what we do want to check is the value of the first value in our pass balance. And what we're going to be able to do is check the quantity owned. And that quantity owned will tell us how much of the NFT is owned by the wallet. And what we're going to do is just make sure that it is greater than or equal to 1. And if it is greater than or equal to 1, then someone will be able to claim the reward. If it's not greater than or equal to 1, that means they need to claim a pass, and we'll prompt them to claim their pass. So right here, this is kind of the building blocks of our application. And depending on the balances of the token and the pass, we're going to prompt the user to collect what they haven't collected yet. So the next thing we need to do is just create those components here to claim our tokens, to claim our pass, or to claim the reward. We'll first do the token. So we'll come into our file directory here again, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this folder components. And in that components folder, I'm going to create a new file called token claim.tsx. And in this token claim.tsx, we're going to create the component to claim our tokens. So we'll create our component here really quick. And what we'll be returning here in our component is we'll just create a header here. So we'll just make it a H3 header here, and then we'll just say claim tokens. Below that, we'll just add some text saying claim 100 tokens for free, because we made our token claim free and we made the max per wallet 100. So what we're going to do in this component is just allow someone to collect 100 tokens. Now we're going to create a button here that allows a user to claim these tokens, and we're going to create a Web3 button, which is another UI component from ThirdWeb. And this button allows us to call functions from our smart contracts. So this button here is going to be called, we'll just have it say claim token. And in our Web3 button here, we have to give it two things. One, the contract address that it is going to be interacting with. In this case, it is going to be our token contract. And then we need to provide it an action. And this action is, what action is this button going to be doing on the contract? What function is it going to be calling? What is this button going to be doing? So on this button here, we can call on our contract. We can specify that it is an ERC20. And within that ERC20, we can call the claim function here. And then we can provide it with the quantity that we want to claim. So in this case, we're just going to say, we're going to just allow them to claim 100 tokens. So when they click that button, it'll interact with our token contract, call the claim function, and claim 100 tokens. And just like that, with just these few lines of code, we're able to create that component there to claim a ERC20 token. So back in our index.tsx, we're going to scroll down here. And down here, again, this is checking if the token balance was greater than 10. And if it wasn't greater than 10, then down here, we're going to provide it with our token. So now we come back to our application. We should be able to see that claim token component here, which is our title and our text and our button, because this wallet here hasn't claimed any tokens yet. Now I do have to switch over to a wallet that has some base Gorilla in it, because we do need to pay the gas in order to claim these tokens. So once I claim these tokens here, we'll be then prompted to claim either our reward or our pass, depending if we own a pass or not. Which brings us to our next component that we're going to create is claiming our pass. So back in my files under my component folder, going to create a new component called this one, the passClaim.tsx, and we're going to create our passClaim component here. And in here, we'll just create some blank tags. Again, we'll give it a header. So we'll just make it an H3 tag and we'll say claim a pass. And then we'll just say here, claim a pass, not for free. It's going to be for 10 tokens. And below that, we're going to give it a Web3 button again. This time, the Web3 button is going to be for claiming a pass. And again, we have to provide it with a contract address, which is going to be the pass contract address. And we're going to provide it with an action, which what we're going to do is similar to what we did on the ERC20. So we're going to call on our contract here, specify that it is an ERC 1155, and we're going to call the claim function. Now, claim for an ERC 1155, we have to provide it with the token ID that we're claiming and then the quantity that we're claiming. So we're claiming token ID 0, and we're only claiming 1 for any time someone clicks this button here. So you can only claim 1 pass. That was in our claim condition. So again, we're claiming the token ID 0 and allowing someone to claim 1 when they click the button. So coming back to our index.tsx here, if we look into our code here, we can say, so again, if pass balance is greater than 1, this should be for the reward. If it's not greater than 1, we're going to prompt them to claim their pass claim. So we'll allow them to claim their pass. And then finally, once someone claims their pass, they should be able to claim the reward NFT, which is the ERC 721. Now, we only want them to be able to claim this if they own a pass NFT. And what we're going to be able to do, if you remember, is use something called signature-based minting. So what we'll first create is in our components folder here, we're going to create a new file. We'll call this rewardClaim.tsx, and we'll create the same type of component here to claim our reward. So the only thing with this claim is, again, we have to be able to verify if someone owns the pass NFT. And well, again, we're going to do that by checking if they own it and then creating and generating a signature from our deployer wallet and allowing the claimer to use that signature to then claim the NFT. So what we do need to do is we're going to actually create a function that is going to check if all of this is met and then generate the signature. And we'll actually create our own little API server here. So in Pages, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this API. And in our API, we're going to create a new file called server.ts. And in here, this is where we're going to create our own little server here that is going to check if someone owns the pass NFT. So in here, we're going to export. So we're going to create our server here. We're going to have a request and response using next API request and next API response here. And within our server here, we're going to do a try catch. For the error, we're just going to give it a response status of 500 here. And this will be a JSON, and then we'll do error, and then we'll just say server error and post our error right there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be passing in the wallet address of whoever is claiming the NFT, because we need to make sure that that is the wallet address we approve the signature for. So in here, we're going to create a variable called claimer address, and this is what we're going to get from our request body. So we're just going to json.parse our request body here. When we try to fetch the signature in here from our server.tss file, we're going to give it the claimer address. It's also going to check if the claimer address owns the NFT, and then we're going to approve the signature for the claimer address. We're also going to need to check to see if we have our private key here, because we are going to need to use our private key to instantiate the SDK here, because we do need to generate the signature with the wallet that we deployed with. So we're going to check in our process.env. We're going to create a variable called private key. And if we don't have our private key, we're just going to throw a new error saying no private key found. So in our environment variable here, we're going to create one called private key. Now, it's not the safest way to store your private key in an environment variable, but for this tutorial and the tutorial's sake, for time, we're just going to store our private key in our environment variable here. If you do want to learn a little bit more about how to safely secure a private key if you want to make a production grade product, we'll drop a link down in the description on how you can do that. But I'm going to get my private key. I'm going to paste it in here in my environment variable, and then we're going to head back to our server.ts file. So I have copy and pasted my private key into my environment variable under a private key variable here. And that, again, we're just going to check to make sure that you do have a private key, because if we don't, then we're not going to be able to instantiate our SDK here, and then we're not going to be able to go any further. So we're going to check to make sure a private key is found before we continue. So here we're then going to call on, so here we're now going to instantiate our SDK. And here we're going to do the third web, and we're going to use the from private key, and we're going to pass it our private key from our environment variable and our private key variable there. And then we have to specify the chain that we're going to be using, in this case, base girly. So let me just space this down here. So again, this is just to instantiate our third web SDK here. Again, we're using our private key because we are also going to be generating our signatures here. So here we're going to then get our contracts that we need to interact with within this. We first need to check if the claimer address holds one of the KeyPass NFTs. So we're going to call this the pass contract here, and we're going to await the SDK dot get contract, and we're going to give it the pass contract here. So similar to how we get our contracts, how we were getting our contracts before, on our SDK, we can call the get contract and get our contract by passing the contract address. We need to do the same thing for our reward NFT, so our reward contract. And this is because we're going to be generating the signature for our reward contract. So we're going to await SDK again. We're going to get contract. This time it is going to be our reward contract. So we have our two contracts that we need to interact with here. The first thing we're going to do is double check to see if the claimer address actually owns one of the pass NFTs. So we're going to create a variable here. We're just going to call this is owner. So if they are owner of the pass NFT, then we'll allow them to continue through here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to await the pass contract. We can specify that it is an ERC 1155, and we're then going to call the balance of, and we're calling the balance of the claimer address here, and then we're checking the balance of token ID 0. And what we're doing is checking if that balance is greater than 0, because if they own 1, then they should be good. So we're just checking if it's greater than 0 here. So if they do not own more than 0, we're going to throw the error and just say you are not an owner of a pass. So again, we're just checking if it is greater than 0 or not. What we're also going to check too is to make sure that they have only claimed one of their reward NFTs. So we don't want someone to be able to just claim as much reward NFTs just because they hold a pass. They should only be able to claim one, and that would be it. So we're going to do something very similar to what we did for the previous one. This one is, we're just going to say has claimed, and this is going to await this one, our reward contract. So we'll do the same thing actually here. Await reward contract. This one is an ERC 721. And again, we're checking the balance of. This time we only need to pass the claimer address because we don't need to check a token ID because this one isn't an ERC 1155. But we'll check the balance of the claimer address, make sure it is greater than, if it is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, then we're going to throw the error that they have already claimed the reward and we're not going to allow them to claim another one. So once they pass those two checks, making sure that they own a pass and that they haven't claimed the reward already, we can now generate the signature for them to claim this NFT. So we're going to create a variable here called payload. And this payload is just what is this signature being created for. And what we need to specify is the two, who the signature and the NFT is going to be going to, and that's just to the claimer address. So the wallet address of the wallet that we're checking is able to use this signature to claim their NFT. Then in here, we're going to create a signed payload, and this is going to await, and then we're going to do the reward contract. And then again, specify we're ERC 721. We're creating a signature here, and we're going to generate this signature with the information from our payload. And if everything goes through, we'll then give a response status 200. And we'll then return our JSON here, JSON, and then we're going to return our signed payload. So we'll get our signed payload, and we'll do JSON.parse, our JSON stringify, and payload there. So if everything goes through, we're returning that signature, and now in our reward claim, we'll then use that signature to claim the NFT. So in our reward claim, we're going to get the connected wallet address here using the use address hook from ThirdWeb. We're then going to get our reward contract. So we'll get our contract, reward contract, use the use contract hook here with the reward contract address. And then here we're going to create our function to mint the NFT using our signature. So we'll just call this mint with signature. It's going to be an async function here. And then we'll run a try catch here. And if we do get an error, we're just going to console log our error here. But in our try here, we're going to create a variable called our signed payload request. And we're going to get our payload, our signed payload. So we're going to await and fetch this from our API/server file. And in here, our method is a post method. And in our body here, we're giving it a JSON stringified of our claimer address, which is going to be our address that we have from here. Then we should get back our signed payload. So we're going to say, make a JSON variable here saying await signed payload request.json. We're then going to check if signed payload request okay. If it is, then we'll check if signed payload request.okay. And if not, we will alert our JSON, not message error. Then we are going to say that our signed payload is going to equal our JSON.signed payload. And then we're going to get our reward and mint our reward with this signature. So reward here, we're going to await our reward contract dot, we can specify it as an ERC 721. And we're going to then, on our signature, we're going to mint the NFT using our signed payload. And after all of that, we will then alert saying that our reward was minted. We don't need to display anything else, and we'll return our reward. So again, we are getting our signed payload request. We're passing it our address of the connected wallet here. We're getting back our payload requests. We're just getting the JSON of it there. We're then making sure, we'll then change that JSON to our signed payload variable here, and then we will mint our NFT on our reward contract using the signed payload that we get back. And again, we'll only get that signed payload back if the connected wallet passes all of the conditions that we set in our server. With that all set in our component here, just like we did with our other components, we'll just create a H3 tag here saying claim, we'll just call this base reward. And then we'll say claim reward if you own a pass. We'll then create a Web3 button down here call it claim reward. And again, we need to provide it with the contract address, in this case, the reward contract. And then our action here is going to be our mint with a signature function that we created. So now we'll come back to our index.tsx file, And right in here, we will give our reward claim component. So again, we now have all of our app set up. Depending if we own tokens or passes, it will prompt us with the correct claim. So let's head over to our application now to test this out. So back here in our application, again, we're prompted with the claim tokens because we haven't claimed anything yet. So we're going to claim our 100 tokens here. So hit claim tokens. We get prompted with our transaction. We'll pay the gas here to claim our 100 tokens. Once we claimed our tokens, you can see now our prompt has changed to claim a pass. So we can claim a pass for 10 tokens. So hit claim pass here. We'll first be prompted because we're using a custom ERC20 on, we have to approve the spending for this token. So we'll just hit use default. It'll change it to 10 for us and we'll hit next. So we're gonna have two transactions, one to approve the token spending here, and then the second one to actually claim the NFT. So here's the second one to claim the NFT here. And now that we've claimed the NFT, you can see now it says to claim our base reward. And we can claim this if we own a pass. And you can see here, you get brought up now a transaction. You can actually look here at the top. It says mint with a signature because again, we are minting this with a signature generated from the wallet that we use to deploy our ERC 721 contract. So again, this signature here is being generated because we met the credentials of having owned a past NFT and not having claimed a reward already. So once we confirm this here, we can now claim that reward NFT. You can see here, our reward has been minted. And if we try to claim this reward again, we're actually going to get popped up an error saying we already have claimed a reward. So we can't claim this reward again because again, we're not meeting the credentials in order to generate ourselves a signature to claim the NFT. And there you have it. We built our very own blockchain application on Coinbase's Base network. We went through and deployed a few different types of contracts from an ERC20, ERC 1155, and ERC 721 contract. We also built our very own front-end application utilizing these contracts, and we also introduced something called signature-based minting, which is a pretty useful tool when having to create your very own dynamic claim conditions when it comes to claiming an NFT. So again, I hope you folks found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on videos just like this. And if you haven't already joined our Discord, we'll add a link down in the description. If you have any questions or you need any support, you can drop it in our Discord and our support team will be happy to help you out. But again, I hope you folks enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing what you build on Base, and until next time, see ya.